Hi guys, I don't know why it takes me like forever to start a video. I will kind of just like sit here and stare at the camera and be like, okay Zoe, like let's go, work up the courage to start a video. But I wanted to make a second video for the My Transformation Challenge because I feel like in my first video, I was just so nervous and like rushing it. I didn't know what to talk about, but I really want to talk about my overall fitness journey and give you guys kind of more of a background story on me because I feel like girls or guys on the internet that are already posting fitness pictures and already look healthy or look a certain way, like, why are you doing this challenge? You know, like, you don't need this, you're already fit, whatever. But it's more for me, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's more than that for me. I do have a good muscle base. I go to school for health and human performance. I have a really good background in kinesiology and prescription implementation and planning, nutrition and diet, but I guess I wanted to give you guys more of a background of maybe more of like my mindset and the struggles that I have gone through to get to this point and what has made me decide to do this challenge as well. So yeah, first of all, update as promised, the location of this video did change. I am in Madison now, and yeah, so the location of this video has changed. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but yeah. Okay, so starting from the very beginning when I was a little kid, as long as I can remember, I guess I was into fitness. Like, you know, maybe back then we didn't call it fitness. We were just kids, we were out playing, out climbing trees, climbing ropes, you know, rope swinging into the lake and just running around and being active. And that's kind of what kills me, I guess, about maybe society today. Like, this is a sidetrack, is that I feel like that now is kind of, it's forced. And for me, it was just expected. Like, we didn't see it as hard work or as taxing on our bodies. It was just us having fun. And I had two older brothers. I still do, but as a kid, they were always outside and, you know, running around, having Nerf wars and having adventures in the back of our property, which was wooded. And so we were always just like climbing and being active, and you know, that's what I like to do. And so, and then growing up in grade school, my dad has always been a track coach, and so I always had a love for that sport. As boring as it may be for some people to watch, I always had a love for it. And I would always go to track meets with him, and then I would want to do those events. And he told me a story about how I went to a track meet with him, and I think I was probably only like 5. Like, I was pretty young. And I remember watching pole vault. So on the bus ride home, I said to Dad, you know, Dad, when I get older, I really want to do that sport with a long pole. You know, not knowing what it was, I was trying to explain it to him, and sure enough, I ended up pole vaulting, and that'll come later. But so yeah, from being outside with my brothers and sister to going to track meets and pretending I was an athlete, you know, from as long as I can remember, running with a baton. And that's kind of where, you know, my healthy lifestyle began. It was just part of growing up. My mom was always looking for new and inventive ways to cook healthier, but still get us kids involved in terms of the cooking and the eating of the food. Of course, as a kid, in grade school, I did other things other than track. I really liked cross country, but I loved intramurals. I basketball for a little bit and stopped that in 5th grade, but I really liked volleyball and little kid softball and pretty much anything that I could be outside and be with my friends and have a good time, I was doing it. I don't really remember sitting in front of the TV. Of course, there were like computer games that we would play and this and that, but yeah, so I was definitely very blessed to have that growing up and that just to be the lifestyle piece. So going into high school, I zoned more in on pole vault specifically. That's what I really grew a love for. I actually would do it pretty much year round. So I got involved in the Flying Dragons, which is a club based out of Central Illinois, Bloomington Normal area if you don't know. And that was a huge part of my life for a long time. I was always participating in AAU and USATF in the summer, so that club track and field piece was always there keeping me active. There'd be a little bit of a break in the fall, but I would do my own workouts and then go into kind of a winter season through that club. And then my high school, even though very small, and I mean small, my graduating class was 80, we still had a really nice track. So we had an indoor season, probably only like 4 or 5 meets, but an indoor season through track that I would compete in. And I was lucky enough to be able to practice indoor pole vault at the club, and then do all of my workouts, like running workouts and everything outside. We didn't care if it was cold. We were a team. We liked being together. It was just that mental stability, that mental toughness that we loved. And so did that for 4 years, and it pretty much like consumed my life, but not in a negative way. Like, it was enough to have my social piece because of the team, and then just that drive, and it kept me in a good place as a student, and it kept my body in a good place. And so while all of this was going on, and you kind of, without trying to create this identity for yourself, and in high school, identity is a huge piece, and if any of you have been through a small high school, even a big high school, you know that like who you hang out with and what you do defines you, and that's that, and it's kind of hard to break that barrier. So, to everyone at my school, that's who I was, and that's what I like to do, and I was this fit person. I was this athlete and who went to state and placed, and small school, but it still means something. But what people didn't see was the other side of that, and was the struggles, and that's what's frustrating to try to convey, because if there was something that I could tell myself, go back in time and tell myself or warn myself about, was just to slow down and to it's a good thing that I feel like that I took it so seriously, but I wish that I would have had more information about nutrition, and I wish I would have had a better mindset. But hindsight is 20/20, and going through struggles has made me who I am today. And so some of those struggles, I would say, in high school were just forming horrible relationships with eating patterns and food, because if you aren't familiar with pole vault, at the middle school and high school level, your pole will have a certain weight limit on it. So say like that pole says 135 on it, then before a meet, maybe not small meets, but before bigger meets like regionals and sectionals and state and conference, you actually have to weigh in. And so there was a time where I kind of became like one with the wrestlers, and that's what I describe it to people as, is because you would have a week or maybe 2 weeks before a meet to drop X amount of pounds. And I just always struggled with my weight. I've been very muscular. It's easy for me to build muscle, but it's also easy for me to put on fat. so, sorry, low battery. And so, I guess what I'm trying to say is that just created a very bad way of eating, because I wasn't focused. Yeah, I was eating healthy, but I was eating a lot, and when I was over a pole that I wanted to use, like over the weight, then I would eat insane. Like, I remember like going on an 800 calorie diet. 800 calories a day is not enough when you have 2-hour practices and just trying to function, like your brain function, and it just all suffers. And so I would go on that diet and lose crazy amounts of weight, 5 to 10 pounds, maybe more, in the 2 weeks, and then weigh in. And when I weighed in, then I would binge. And then after the meet, I would just continue to binge, and that would create this binge purge cycle. I was never throwing up, but in terms of purging for me, it was just restricting myself so much. And so that created that unhealthy habit. Going into college then, I still had some of that same mindset, but the nice thing about college is you don't have to weigh in. I think that the organization trusts you at that level of competition, that you know what you're doing and you're not going to hurt yourself. So the weigh-in is more of just a safety factor for kids and vaulting at a pole that's not going to break and it's going to be safe for them. So in college, I competed at a D3 school. My reasoning for that is because I was average, like I wasn't anything great. My highest was 11.3, if for those of you who know. But I loved it, so I wanted to keep competing, even if that meant competing at a lower level. And so I competed my freshman and my sophomore year, and it's still intense. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I get that D1 competition is so much higher, but that doesn't mean that the athletes in D3 aren't still putting in the work. Most of them are there because they love the sport and they still want to improve themselves, especially in track. Like, track and cross country and those individual sports are about bettering yourself, bettering your own PR, and you still form that team connection, but at the end of the day, it's pretty individualized. And so if you're there to better yourself, you're gonna put in the work that's needed. And so I would say that towards the middle of my sophomore year in college competing, I just got burnt out. Like, I was going through a lot in terms of my relationships. I went through a major stage of depression, and I didn't want to go to track anymore. That used to be my escape. That used to be my one escape. And so that passion just very quickly plummeted, and I didn't want to be there. And I knew that if I was ever going to recover from this place that I was in, and if I was going to pull myself out, I had to make the decision to stop. I don't like to think of myself as a quitter, so I finished out the season. I actually ended up pulling it together and PRing at Outdoor Conference, our last meet, and then that was the end of it. Like, I didn't think twice. I just was like, nope. This has not been good for me mentally. I'm dragging myself to practice. I'm hating every minute of it. Like, no, we need to do something else. And so I started lifting. And I've always lifted. Like, my dad taught me to lift at a young age. In high school, I lifted with the football players because I was really close to them, oddly enough. And so I was like, I'm just going to continue lifting. And this is a good thing and a bad thing. Like, I found a lot of fitness gurus on YouTube and kind of just followed their plans. I started tracking macros, this and that, and being strict definitely helped me. It helped me get out of that binge purge cycle, because I was pretty much done with it by college track time rolled around, but it definitely just helped me be more aware of portion sizes and that you don't have to deprive yourself, because I did flexible diet and you don't have to deprive yourself. So I continued lifting, and then my junior year, ending a really hard relationship. It was a really tough breakup. I decided to compete. I was going to compete in WBNF, I don't know, like the natural division of figure competition. Ended up going through an 18-week prep and got really lean, but again, I'm very hard on myself, and so talking to my coach, I was like, I'm not stage ready. Yeah, I was at a very lean place, but I'm not stage ready. And I learned so much about myself through this contest prep, but it was also very detrimental because you see yourself at that state, and then I didn't reverse diet. You know, I was kind of upset. At the person that was helping me as a coach, saying that you're not lean enough for stage, and I knew I wasn't, and so it was just kind of upset to come to that realization that I put in all this work and then I wasn't where I wanted to be in time. And instead of just kind of reverse dieting for a little bit and then possibly prepping for another show, I just went ham. I went balls to the walls with food. I didn't track anything, I didn't measure anything, and so obviously I put on a substantial amount of fat, and I didn't care. And then summer rolled around. It was my first summer being 21, so you can imagine every chance there was to drink, I was drinking, and I wasn't lifting. Like, I just completely went off the track. School rolls around, I'm my heaviest that I've ever been. Obviously that puts me in a funk. I'm lifting again, but not really eating. My senior year is pretty hard. I start working, I have 2 jobs, 18 credits, upper class credits, so it's pretty hard. I finally get back into the swing of things this past spring, and from last September to now, I think I've lost about 10 pounds. I started lifting regularly again, being more aware of what I'm eating, trying to take a more holistic approach and not be so restrictive. So I'm slowly getting back into it. I am very proud of my progress and where I've come from mentally, but I just need that little extra push, and I need that support, because a lot of people, like I said at the beginning of this video, will look at me and they see me for how I look, and they see that I have lean muscle and that I look strong. And you know, I've had girls come up to me and be like, wow, I wish I could look like you, and this and that. And while I'm grateful for my body and what it can do and how far I've come, they don't see those other struggles, and they don't understand like why I want to change. And so I guess like I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for the people that I've already so far met within the Facebook group to just be understanding of that and push me a little bit farther. You know, I just want to be my absolute best and make this a lifestyle. And while changing physically, continue to change mentally and spiritually, because I've come a long way on that and may make a video about that later. But this video has already been very long, and I just want to thank anybody that made it through this video, or maybe if you've been going through some of the same things, reach out to me. So right now, in terms of my fitness, I am lifting at least 4 times a week, if not 5, doing cardio a few times a week, and just trying to be consistent, trying to get back to that place where it's a lifestyle for me and where I'm enjoying it, because that's how it's going to be maintainable if we enjoy it. And so I'm really excited to see what this challenge has to offer for me, but also anyone else doing it, and I'm just really, really excited. This is what I needed, and I know it's going to be great. So I can't wait to continue, and let's just all be fitness freaks and be super strong community, and show others that it's more than appearance. So yep, have a good day, guys. Thanks for watching.